Right, hello everybody who is joining me today. So season 5 has dropped, and today I'm just going to talk about the 5 new legendary heroes. So there are 3 featured: Paparaz, Mr. Paper Guy, Consciou, who you may know as the God of the Moon if you are a big Moon Knight fan on Marvel, and then there's Sobek, the costume version of Gato. Alongside that, you also have 2 other legendary heroes hidden. So this red guy, Kafra, the Sphinx, and then you have El Dadaha, the screen hero. So you have got essentially one 5-star of each color that have released. In terms of odds of drawing them, they're actually pretty similar in terms of chances of drawing them, even though they have featured and non-featured, just because of the number of heroes available at the moment. So in terms of feature, it's 1%, and there are 3 of them, so it works out to 0.33% to draw any of the featured ones, and then the non-feature is 0.6, but there's only 2 of them at the moment which are non-featured, so it's 0.3. So the chances of drawing the season 5 heroes are pretty much similar. So if you are looking to pull for them, this would be the best time because once the portal gets diluted with more and more season 5 heroes, you will find that trying to draw specific legendary hero is going to be more difficult. But anyway, the main question is, how good are these season 5 heroes? And if you were, hi Joe, you're the only one person watching me, by the way. I'm doing a recording for these new season 5 heroes, and I'm not sure if I'm not sure if I told you I left Last Regiment now. So I'm in a different, a more relaxed alliance play. So anyway, the question is whether it's worth, if you're on a budget, worth pulling for these season 5 heroes. So I'm just going to break down what I think about them, and then I'm going to also give some statistics to back up where I'm coming from with them. So first things first, so I've got them maxed already. I'm just going to talk about the passives, because the passives are pretty insane. So there are 2 families. There's the Sun family and the Moon family, which makes sense given the Egyptian theme. So Sun family heroes, they cause, whenever they are targeted by a special skill from an enemy, and they get a blind effect, which is 35%, so very similar to regular Drake, regular June. And they also get a bit of burn dot, although the burn is not not very high. It's equivalent to the bleed ability of the barbarian class. If that special skill kills your hero, which is obviously not a good thing, but sometimes your heroes do die. Hi Lows, you're right. I haven't limit broken them. Then the chance of the Sun family ability to proc is higher. Okay, so that's that. And then alongside that, they have the other passives that are higher pickle pants. They have, when you cast a special skill, they also have a chance of performing one of these special effects. So with Sobek, he deals 70% damage to all enemies. Okay, and this is very important, especially if you're firing special skills repeatedly. And he also does a sand dot, and we will that is nice. It's 288. over 3 turns, so it's not Gravemaker level burn, but it's nice to have that additional bit of damage. Okay, so that's Sun family, and then you have the Moon family. So the Moon family does slightly different things. So instead of the blind effect, now if your hero gets targeted by a special skill, they cause a defense down, which is 24%, so not high, but still a decent amount, and they also cause a bit of water splash damage. Her passive, on the other hand, when she gets cast a special skill, she does 70% damage to all enemies, so again, nice damage, and then she dispels the last dispellable buff from all enemies, which is nice. Okay, so they all have unique abilities, so let's talk about them one by one. Right, so Sobek, also known as Fake Gato, so his ability is very simple. He is a damage dealer. He does 290% damage to all enemies, and he has an additional clause which is not a drawback, unlike say Costume Lepus. He is able to bypass defensive buffs, which at the moment there aren't that many defensive buffs in high level play on defenses in war, and in terms of counter attack, yes, you may face the occasional Ferret, and that could be relevant, I guess, but then Ferret has not really seen that much play recently, since our nerfs that we have managed to obtain. But let's look at it from a damage output perspective. So his base stats are very good to begin with. He is Wizard class, so that's a very offensive class, and he's going to gain a lot in terms of attack stats based on his class alone. So you can see his base stat is 826, and once you have emblem him up, he gets up to a very high 964. He does 290% damage to all enemies, so his damage output is very high. So I've got some spreadsheets here which I'm going to share with you. So if you look at blue heroes which does damage, Sobek does 2,395 damage to a specific hero, and obviously he's going to do that to all heroes without the need to target. When you look at blue heroes in general, in terms of damage output, you have Cobalt level 3, which requires a lot more mana to charge, who does more. You have Snow White and Costume Snow White, which obviously requires a lot of hoops to jump through, and it's also slow to be able to do more damage. And you have Bobo, again another one who's slow speed as well. So if you look at it from a damage output perspective, Sobek base damage without his special skill proccing will deal 2,395, which is very high. So as someone who does events, and if you are competing in legendary, you want a good high output damage dealer. Now blue's setup is that you're going to run Frida, you're going to run Costume Gunner, you probably will have Bobo there for the extra high defense down, plus a additional damage, but then you have other heroes for damage output. I usually use Cobalt, and recently I've been using Costume Lepus as well, together in that same setup. But Sobek clearly does more damage, which is very, very nice. And don't forget that you have a 60% chance that you're going to do an additional 70% damage, which means that at least half the time, if you're firing Sobek, he's going to do more damage than Bobo. And if you average this out, if you were to if you're going to spam Sobek in terms of specials in events, his damage output is going to be higher than if you spam Bobo repeatedly. So he's going to be a very nice hero to use in legendary events, and you now know, because of Alliance Quest, how important it is to actually have some good event teams as well. So he's good from that perspective. When you look at him from a defense, unfortunately he is not going to be a top tier defensive hero. Defensive heroes defense heroes needs to be fast in general, and if they're not fast, i.e. they're average, they need to do a lot, and Sobek doesn't do a lot, he does a bit. So if you look at the good defensive blue heroes, where you look at Consciou, who dodges, she mana cuts, she mana slows, she does damage. Well, is there anything she doesn't do? And then if you look at alternatives to that, you may have Morale, who is fast, does damage, defense down, to all hits all. And then you have Milena, who occasionally will get to level 2 and fire, but otherwise it's not that great. Sobek is just not great on defense, just because of his average speed. In fact, I would prefer using Costume Leapers, even though I don't think Costume Leapers is that good on defense, so he's not going to be a good defense hero. Now on offense, again, depending on the level where you're playing, so if you were playing at top level gaming, edgier Costume Snow. Yeah, absolutely lows. I'm going to max Ajir just for that, so I can do that meme team of Ajir plus Costume Snow. So on offense, if you were playing at high level, you need to have fast heroes. It's what it is. Or I would prefer to use Costume Leapers. However, High Priest, you're right. If you're using and you're playing at a less competitive level, then Sobek is going to be great on offense, because you can combo him together with Morale and even Melina, and then just wipe the whole team all at once with 3 blue heroes. Hi Kim, you're right. So yeah, he is going to be a niche hero. So for me, his main use is going to be for the purposes of events, but he is going to be a very good event hero. Next, we're going to talk about this green lady, so El Nadaha. So I quite like her. I think she is very good. Again, she's wizard class, so you start off with some good base stats. 821 attack, decent defense of 764, not great, not low, and then also decent health of 1431. And then because of her wizard class, she will get up there with regards to her attack, going up to 950. Gargoyles need a buff. Yeah, they're still very weak. They need to make that red gargoyle that gives the fiend that mindless attacks, like give fiends to everyone, so that he will be the next Elfreak. No point in having him just hit 1. He needs to give fiends to 5. Right, so she's fast speed, which is good. She's already automatically going to be competitive at high level play. Now she does good damage, 305% damage to target nearby, so it's not target and minus, so all 3 heroes are going to get the same amount of damage. And then the target and nearby enemies are then immune to new status effect buffs. And don't forget that status effect buffs also include like elemental link as well, if I'm not mistaken, so that's important. And for each attempted buff, they're going to get an extra 200% 200 damage as well, which is chunky. Alright, so let's look at it from a damage output perspective. Sorry. Sheet 2, there we are. So you can see here that compared to other green heroes, Al Nadaha does 2,504 damage to a single target, and that's equally spread among 3 targets. So she's going to have a total damage output of 1,500. By comparison, she and Kunal have very similar damage output. The benefits of her is that she has the potential to do even more damage because of her wizard class, because of being able to proc the Jinx ability compared to Kunal. But Kunal at base damage, which is how I normally judge it, because if you're firing Kunal for the second time, you're pretty much won. They're very comparable. Now, the thing with Kunal is sometimes you go fight Eve, you fight Kunal, and that stupid hero, aka a last C, bloody dodges your Kunal hit and she doesn't die. And with Kunal, you're kind of like just stuck there, having to find more green tiles until you're able to fire her. With El Nadaha, on the other hand, if Alasi does fire in that situation and buffs their team with Elemental Link, then she's going to take some damage. Probably she's not going to die, but she'll still take some damage. So I would put them very comparable in terms of their abilities of power level as well. So if you think Kunal is a good hero, which I think she is, then Al Nadaha is a good and powerful hero. Very good on offense, probably not that good on defense, because you don't see that many Kunals running around on defense, other than when for a brief period of time people were running Ferrand and trying to abuse the Wolf ability. And obviously, as I said again, you have to remember that she has the passive. She still has a 50% chance, so you can flip a coin to do even more damage than Kunal on the first hit, which is very, very nice. So I think she's an excellent hero for your offensive teams. Not going to be great for Titans, and obviously on events, if you're running a green team, you will probably have her on your green legendary event team as well. So she's probably the best of the bunch. Next is Consciou, the Moon Knight. So Moon families with the defense down, and then the passive, which does an additional 70% damage 40% of the time. So the chances are linked to the mana speed, so the faster they are, the lower the chances, obviously, because you're going to fire them more often. And you also get to cause them to have mana generation decrease for 24 of minus 24% for 3 turns if you proc the ability. Okay, so I'm sure people who have been watching Consciou in beta were a bit disappointed, because in beta his snipe damage was a bit lower, a lot lower actually, but whenever he killed a target, he would gain 100% mana. So you kind of like could set him up in a setup where you had someone like, I don't know, kill hair or someone, hit everyone, and then you would then go around with Consciou, who's now fully charged, and then kill 3, 4 or even 5 heroes all at once, because he would just chain himself. That's no longer the case, so people got very upset because of that. But actually, if you look at it, and having played around with Consciou a fair bit, I think he's actually a really, really good hero. So let's look again at stats. So Consciou is a sniper, and his damage output for a sniper is very, very good. He does 3,527 snipe damage, which is very high for a pure sniper. So we're talking about a sniper with no bells and whistles attached to it, so no drawbacks, no conditions. So for example, Cage would do a lot more damage, as you can see, but not even much these days. If the conditions are met, Nemo, for example, can do a lot more damage if the conditions are met, but without any conditions, in 6 tiles, he is very likely going to kill a hero. His snipe damage output is very similar to Costume Satana, which is very, very high in this game, and compared to other pure snipers like Costume, base Liana with costume buff, it's very, very comparable. So as a purple sniper, he does a lot of damage. You have to remember he's also very fast. He's a very fast sniper, so, and if you look at him compared to Cage, he does the same amount of damage as Cage, obviously without the dispel beforehand, at very fast speed. So he's going to be clutch if you were in a meta, and I have to say this, if the meta does change, moving away from external tanks, so not fighting purple tanks, because you are very likely going to be able to charge him very quickly, take down a tank, and he recharges with 50% mana. So I think that's very, very good, and that means you're lined up, even if you don't have the tiles to ghost in the middle to then snipe next hero, which you then would have probably decreased the health a bit with some tile damage as well. So I think he's going to be a very nice hero on offense. He's not going to be a good event hero. He's not going to be a good Titan hero. But for the purposes of offense, he's going to be quite a nice, fun hero to play with. Not overpowered, but also not underpowered. On defense, again, the problem is the computer has a mind of its own, and you don't want to trust the computer to do any targeting at all. So he's not going to be great on defense. Okay, then we move on to Paparaz, who I think is probably the weakest of the lot here. Hear me out here first. So he's Moon Family, so he causes the defense down, the water damage. His passive 60% chance of boosting allied health, so he's going to be a pseudo healer some of the time, but only 10% health. I mean, they did a lot more heal in the previous versions of the Magic Hero, Magic Tile heroes, but there we go. And they also gain a small amount of mana, so they're kind of like he's kind of like a Melina and a what's his name, Mortega rolled into one 60% of the time. So his skill, so his average speed, he summons some minions, which in themselves, when they hit a target, causes sand damage of 300 damage over 3 turns, and he also buffs the defense. Bearer, on the other hand, causes a lot lower poison damage of 192, but she's also fast speed. Her minions are also chunkier, so if you look at it, 20% HP and 20% attack. Paparaz's minions are only 14% HP, so a bit skinnier, a lot skinnier actually. Freya's minions are also 20% HP, so and then she also causes the team to have defense for 4 turns. So Paparaz's defense up is only for 3 turns. So he's kind of like a mash between Bearer and Freya, in that he has the dot damage, he produces minions, he has defense up, but his average speed, which is a problem if you're going to try and run him on defense. He is also a problem in that the meta has moved on a lot since they released Bearer and Freya. So back when Bearer became popular, there weren't that many heroes to deal with minions at the time. You had Grimble, which everyone laughed about over Christmas because minions were just not the meta. You had Gobbler, and you had Captain of Diamonds, who at that time hadn't been buffed yet, so half the time he didn't even kill the minions because of how he worked. So the meta has moved on a lot more from then, and that's an issue for Paparaz because his base stats, as you can see, are not fantastic. So this is for him with 19 emblems. So if you look at him base, his defense is not particularly high, it's only 788, and his health is again good but not great, and his average speed. So if you compare him maxed out with 19 emblems, because the last talent grade is the mana node, he only has 901 defense. Bera has a bit lower, but at the same time she's also fast and she's going to fire a lot quicker. So therein lies the problem with Paparaz. His stats are not great. It would be great if, you know, he had, you know, a defense of 1000 like Snow, but he doesn't. So he's gonna die quite easily. There's also a lot of heroes that fight minions. You have got people like Bera to just counter him outright, so he doesn't actually do anything and just becomes a tile dump. Then you have minion removers like Eloise, who of course needs a buff. Charvel, how is that threat coming along? You need to get it to 100. Topaz, who kills the minions, then gives yourself some mana as well. You have heroes like Uraeus, who completely bypasses the minions. You have heroes like what's her name, Fluffy and Yura, who again bypasses the minions and then causes health down, etc, etc. So there are quite a lot now on the market where minions do matter, and they are there to counter minions. So I don't think Paparaz is ever going to see any top tier play. He is actually going to be great fun though, I tell you what, in Bloody Battle, because he self heals your team by way of generating minions. He causes defense up, which obviously is hard to deal with, and he also causes dot damage, which is great. Obviously his passive is not going to do anything, but there you go. I think he's going to be fun for Bloody Battle, yeah, that's about it for him really. Right, and then the last one we have is Kafra, the Sphinx, acute Andro Sphinx. I don't even know what an Andro Sphinx is. So he's slow. They need to have made him average, but he's slow, which is an issue. That means his uses are going to be niche, but actually his niche uses are very, very good. So first of all, his damage output is very, very high. It's 350 to target, and then it chains much like Bruce Lee does. And he gives 41% defense against fire, with a cumulative increase of -4% up to a maximum of -65% for 4 turns. Right. So if you look at his base stats, they are good but not fantastic. So he's got an average attack, an average defense, and an average health. For a slow speed hero, he really should actually have either higher defense or higher attack to compensate, so that when he goes off, he actually does a lot more damage. Maxed out with emblems, so he is monk class, which is a fairly defensive class. His defense is okay, not even in the 900s. His attack's okay, again not in the 900s. His health is so not great from that point of view. What about damage output? Well, let's have a look. Oh, I hate this super uppercut. Okay, so this is where he is going to be great, So his damage output is very high, 2,758 to each hero, and then obviously change. So if you're doing events, you're going to hit 3, or if in the tower 4 heroes. That's a lot of damage compared to other hit all heroes. So the latest fat is Guardian Kong, who has high damage output as well, but is a lot lower than him, so it's 2500-ish. And the other one that people use a lot of in events is Kagan and Costume Asla. So Kagan they use because of the speed of his special. They use regular Kagan with costume bonus, and it's 2400. And obviously Asla, if your conditions are met, is going to do a lot more at 3366 per hero. So Kafra does a very good amount of damage. You're going to be using him anyway because of his cumulative defense down in events. I need to get that Louise buff. 100%. It's your job, Chavel. I already got Farron nerf on your behalf. So yeah, so Kafra is going to be an immense hero for events, full stop. He's going to go into event teams by virtue of his high damage output and his cumulative defense down. What else? Okay. Obviously he's going to move into your Titan teams. He's going to be moving into your Mythic Titan teams. That's going to be great. And as I said, on top of that, he has a 70% chance because he's slow to do even more damage. So fantastic for event teams. Where else is he going to be good? Well, he's going to be great in rush wars because he hits like a truck. He causes defense down. And then you can follow him up with Crazy Crush to maim quite a few heroes and prevent Mother North from reviving. You could follow that up with Lorena, who's fast and hits hard as well. So he is going to be great in Rush Wars, and we have Rush War coming up, so I will hopefully be able to play around with him on Sunday and show off how good he is. But I think he has niche users. He is going to be good where he's going to be good, and where he's going to be good, which is Titans, events, and Rush Wars, he's going to be very, very, very good. So on the whole, with the new Season 5 Legendary Heroes, now the Husk, excellent. Automatically I will max her, use her in attack teams. Then you have heroes like Consciou, who's great on offense, but not much else. Then you have heroes like Kafra, who I think is actually probably the second best of the lot, simply because he's so versatile in where he's going to be good, which is Rush Wars, Mythic Titans, and also events. And then last but not least, you have Sobek, who is going to be a very niche hero for people who are eventing. And then Paparaz, obviously we've talked about. I don't think he is quite that good, just because of how the meta has already evolved past minion heroes. So anyway, not sure what you all think about these heroes. Well, drop a comment in the comment section when I go off. But yeah, that's my opinion of the new Season 5 heroes. Obviously they need a buff, but we need Chavel to start get on with getting Eloise buff first. Right, I think that's it for tonight. I may talk about the 4 stars and 3 stars on stream on another day when we do Rush Wars. But it's late, it's 1 o'clock now in the UK, and I need to wake up early tomorrow. So yep, take care everyone. I have been raiding with them, King, but I will do some more when I actually have played around with them and optimized the teams. I don't like to just randomly use heroes without showing off their true potential. Anyway, take care everyone. I will see you all on Sunday when we do Rush Wars. Bye.